Welcome to the Hoopologist podcast. My name is Saif Basaria.
I'm Case Charania.
And I'm Shaban Samani.
And listener, you can find us at Hoopologist, which is HOOPOLOGISTS on Instagram and Twitter, and the Hoopologist on YouTube. Case, did I cover that? Is that good?
Most of it, yeah.
What do you mean most of it? What did I miss?
Well, what's the rest?
Oh, there isn't one. At K's NBA, the big one on Twitter and Instagram now.
This at K's NBA, I can vouch for him. He's our top source. He knows everything that happens in the NBA. He posts stuff before Shums does, honestly.
It's true. Shums from down the block, not Shams Charania, obviously. That's what we're referring to.
Well, hey, Shams Charania didn't get the scoop on the Brooklyn Nets breaking up. K's did about like a year and a half prior.
You know what?
So
that's a good point.
That was K's-Ocrates.
Well, listener, this is kind of a shoot the shit episode for the three of us because we're kind of in a weird point of the first round where some of the series are done. Some of them will probably be almost done or done by the time you're listening to this. And we're not necessarily in the second round just yet. So we'll do a second round preview once we get a little closer to that. In the meantime, listener, we're going to cover the first round and what's happened so far. And we should probably start off with the series.
Sweep.
Exactly. We should start off with the sweep. The most shocking, or maybe not shocking, it seems shocking at least. The Boston Celtics swept the Brooklyn Nets 4-0, like Kays had said. Kays, in one word, how would you describe this series? Literally one word.
Hilarious.
Shaban, do you have one word that comes to mind?
I think it was shocking. I mean, not shocking to the fact that they lost.
One word, you fuck.
All right,
one
fine.
word.
Frazzled. Like,
Frazzled. You
yeah.
could have just stuck with shocking. Shocking is one
You
word.
literally could have kept shocking.
That's fine. I will say disappointing. Disappointing is my word.
Flabbergasting.
Flabbergasting is also a good word. So Shaban, now we can come back to you and you can talk a little bit about the series because you clearly have something to say.
Okay, so I picked Boston to win in 6 games anyway. I didn't expect Boston to sweep them. Like, Jesus Christ, that was ugly. And just seeing Boston just walk into the Barclays Center and just give Brooklyn the business, I think that was the most shocking thing of anything. And I just want to point out really quick, there's like an interesting dichotomy between these two teams. Brooklyn started the season 23-11. They were 10th in offense and 5th in defense. Boston started 17-19. They were 20th in offense. KD was playing like an MVP level. We were saying that he was going to be the MVP. And Boston was exploring probably breaking up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown or trading Marcus Smart, making some kind of blockbuster trade. Instead, Brooklyn made the huge blockbuster trade. Boston made like smaller trade, I think, to get Derek White that trade deadline. And they ended up the season 21-28. They were still 10th in offense, but they cratered to 24th in defense. And while Boston made smarter moves and they got their guys to buy in, and they ended the season 34-12, the best in the league, and the second in offense and first in defense. This is a transformation by the Boston Celtics team and the Brooklyn Nets, except it's just opposite directions.
I mean, look, I think you nailed it. I think you've hit every statistical measure that matters. But listener, the takeaway is, yes, in the last, basically since January, February of the season, Boston and Brooklyn have been on very different trajectories. And honestly, I blame Kyrie Irving. I'm kidding. There's a multitude of things to blame. There's a multitude of people to blame.
You can blame Kyrie. I want to blame Kevin the fraud.
I mean, look, Kevin was very, very bad in this series besides the last game. And
I have numbers.
I would say too little too late. Case, what are your numbers?
So in the playoffs, without Steph Curry, KD
yes!
is 46-58.
No way.
With Steph Curry, he's 42-6.
No.
Reactions, go.
That's look, I did not think the stat would be that drastic. Obviously, on the Warriors with Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and the Warriors were fantastic. I didn't realize his playoff record was actually that bad outside of the Warrior years. He has an overall losing record, which is kind of embarrassing. I did not know that. So that's good to know.
Yeah. That's really interesting considering how we know
it's
Kevin
not
Durant
overall
for his
losing.
Big playoff heroics.
Well, yeah, it is overall losing without Steph Curry, Case. That's what you just said.
Well, if you put that caveat in, I thought you were
Well,
just talking about his
what do you mean?
playoff record.
You put the caveat. You literally presented the information with the caveat.
I presented facts.
I didn't say you didn't. just seems like you're backstepping a little now.
I can't step backwards. The ACL don't work like that no more.
Fair enough. Yes, no, it's shocking. And I'm interested in seeing what Brooklyn does from here. Obviously, Boston has a date with Milwaukee coming up here in round 2. But what does Brooklyn do from here? Are they going to really re-sign Kyrie? Do they have a choice in the matter if Kevin Durant wants him there and he wants to be there? Do they have to give him 5 years and $250 million or whatever it may be?
I don't know, to be honest, because I want to say that, okay, vaccine mandates lifted, Kyrie can play. Hopefully there won't be any distractions. But
there's always
we know Kyrie.
There's always been something.
We know that there's always
Kyrie
something.
is the distraction.
Kyrie is the distraction, exactly.
Here's a fun little stat that you guys all brought your stats, so I'll bring one to you. Okay, since Kyrie left LeBron James in Cleveland, he has played 22 playoff games and missed 22 playoff games.
Oh no! Oh my God!
He has sat out as many playoff games as he has now played in since leaving LeBron James. Which, by the way, if you do quick math here, he played 4 just now, which means he was actually on a losing record on that spectrum prior to these 4 games he played here with the Brooklyn Nets, even though they lost them all. Anyway, we'll talk about the offseason a little later. I think that we're ready to talk about the series I don't care to talk about, the Miami Heat and the Atlanta Hawks. One word to describe how this series finished, I will say embarrassing. Shaban?
I want to say embarrassing, but I will say humiliated.
Fair enough. Kaze, do you have a word for this?
No.
There we go. And listener, the reason why we say that is the Miami Heat were always going to beat the Atlanta Hawks. I think that we were all very comfortable in saying that. Hell, we predicted it before the playoffs started. I think anybody, a toddler, could have predicted this. This isn't shocking in that regard. However, in the closeout game in Game 5 in Miami, Victor Oladipo, the guy who's not played basketball basically in a year, was the leading scorer for the Miami Heat and arguably the best player, obviously next to Bam Adebayo. That being said, listener, Jimmy didn't play. Kyle Lowry didn't play. So they're missing their 2 best players.
They didn't get a shot off at the end.
Exactly.
Also, yes.
And I feel like
season on the line, didn't get a shot off.
And I feel like that encapsulates exactly what this Atlanta team has been throughout this season, really. Just unable to just get it done in the end. Also, credit to Miami. They took the second ranked offense in the NBA and they made them look like dog water. Like Trae Young had a miserable series. And honestly, for Atlanta to move forward, I've
got the numbers for that too.
Oh, please do. Please expand.
Regular season Trae Young averaged 28.8 points. Playoff Trae Young averaged 14.7 points. The second largest drop off in NBA playoff history.
Jeez. Do you know who the number 1 is?
No, I didn't even care to check. I was that sad.
Fair enough. The number is it hurts to hear, but I think we all watched the games. It wasn't ultra shocking, right? We saw Trae Young did not play well. And in turn, by the way, the majority of the Atlanta Hawks did not play well. Bogey had a couple of good games. Trae had a good game in there. Unfortunately, this is a gift and a curse, right? It's a gift in the sense that we get to go into the offseason without any misunderstandings of what and who this team is. And it allows Travis Schlenk, maybe Coach Nate, Trae, and the rest of the roster to figure out what needs to be done to become a better basketball team if they intend to. It's a curse in that they just came off the Eastern Conference semifinals the year before and came into this season with a very different expectation and understanding of how the year was meant to go. And obviously the year did not go anything close to that. So
I could have coached better than Nate.
It's very Nate.
We've never been high on Nate.
That is true. That is a good point, Shaban. We were never very high on Nate. I did not advocate for his hiring. I don't think any of us advocated for it. I don't like calling for people's jobs, but I hope he's not coaching the Atlanta Hawks next year. Because I don't think we'll do whatever you got to trade the coach. I do not think he is a very good basketball coach. And more importantly, I don't think he's a very good tactician. He allowed a 20-0 run and never called a timeout. They had timeouts. I'm talking about game 4.
It's not just a single 20-0 run either.
No, game 3?
There was a 15-0 run in game 4. There was a 13-0 run in game 3 again. It's just where's the goddamn timeout? The Hawks go on a 7-0 spurt. Spoelstra immediately calls a timeout.
Yeah, you got to kill momentum. The criticisms of the Hawks can go on and on, but more importantly, the Miami Heat did dog the shit out of the Hawks.
Mhm.
They are what we thought they were. One thing I want to say is Miami coming into this postseason, I would argue the majority of NBA fans probably did not consider them finals favorites in the Eastern Conference, even though they were the number one seed and held it for basically the longest during the regular season, even without Kyle Lowry for much of the season, without Jimmy Butler for much of the season, without Bam Adebayo for much of the season, and definitely no Victor Oladipo for basically any of the season. I think what they did in this first round was prove what they can do when they want to do it. And I think that they will continue to. I think whether Philly or Toronto, whoever comes out of that matchup, going to have a hard time against this team because they match up. And when I say the Miami Heat match up very well defensively with either of those teams, and that will be fun to watch.
So to pair it off what you said about the last team, what does Atlanta have to do to move forward here?
Let's not do too much on the offseason, but what I will say is they need to invest in defense. They need to invest in defense, and they need to figure out. They suffer from the issue of too many guys, right? They've got like 12 dudes who require playing time, who deserve playing time, and they need to consolidate that into something. Now, it's very difficult to say what they should do as far as trades go, because I'm not sure how many of those guys have extremely great value besides obviously a Trae Young. After that, who's our second best tradable roster piece? Is it John Collins? Is it Onyeka Okongwu based on his youth and his talent level?
Well, right now, John Collins is playing well below his contract.
I agree with you.
It's
and I think
Bogdan.
Maybe it's Bogdan. Maybe it is. He's 30 years old, though. He's about to be 30 years old. So the Atlanta Hawks offseason will be an interesting one. Let's move on to Milwaukee, Chicago. Listener, as we speak to you right now, this isn't over yet, but Milwaukee's up by 20 with about 7 minutes left. So at the risk of the WebM curse that somehow still stuck around, even though the name changes occurred, Milwaukee will move on from this series probably in what we expect to be 5 games, and they will play against Boston. We will preview that later. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about what Milwaukee and Chicago did. Do we care to talk about this series? I think my one word would be let down. I was let down by this series.
I think the Bulls did their best. Like Caruso's in protocol right now. Lonzo has been ruled out for the whole season. Now Zach LaVine's not even playing in this game because he's in health and safety protocol. So there goes your best offensive weapon. I mean, this game
second best.
Or second best. Okay, fine.
DeMar,
second best offensive. Well, DeMar DeRozan's only got 11 points right now.
Yeah, but he's been better.
Because DeMar DeRozan's going through the gauntlet right now.
But
yeah, I think that the best way, I said mine was let down. Shaban, what's your one word here for this series?
Whatever
comes to mind. Disappointed. Fair enough. Case, do you have a one word for this series?
Humiliated.
Fair enough. I think that's pretty fair. I think when we came into the series after game 1? Game 1 was really good, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, really...
Game 1 was close. I think Chicago stole game 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Game 1 Chicago stole. I don't remember, listener. I'm so sorry.
No, they stole game 1 at home. That's what it was.
That's right.
And then Middleton got hurt, and then the Bucks just said, "Fuck this, we're moving on."
Chicago won game 2, by the way, guys. Chicago, I'm looking at it now. Chicago won game 2, Milwaukee won game 1, and then obviously Milwaukee won 3, 4, and now probably 5. Listener, as you're listening to this, you'll know. Confirmed. But yeah, I think this series was a bit disappointing because I was hoping for a better series. Unfortunately, it wasn't. And hopefully the Bulls will be healthier next year and they'll just be more fun overall with Lonzo back, Caruso back. I'm sure they'll make adjustments. Let's move on, though, to the more fun series in the Eastern Conference, the one that likely looks, or I mean, it is. It's already going the longest. It will go the longest in the Eastern Conference. Philly, Toronto. Philly started with a 3-0 lead. Joel Embiid with a basically buzzer beater game-winning 3, followed by what seems to be a thumb injury that might need some off-season surgery. Toronto gets Scotty Barnes back.
It's a definite off-season surgery, by the way.
Toronto gets Scotty Barnes back. They lose Fred VanVleet, and they won 2 games. This is a 3-2 series. And listener, by the time you're listening to this, maybe the series is over. But right now, we're very excited for Game 6 and the potential at a Game 7. Shaban, one word to describe this series? He's muted. I like it, though, because he's using the feature.
It's interesting.
Okay, Hayes, you got a word for me?
How do I put this? Fuck. There was a word for it.
Okay,
Disastrous.
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 I have a compound word: roller coaster. That's how this series has been.
Yeah. I would say precipice because it's getting dangerously close. Knowing
It's a
knowing
record.
this, knowing the track record of some of these guys that are
Talk to me.
involved.
Well, who are we talking about? Don't beat around the bush. Talk to me about it.
So Doc Rivers for one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As we all know, Doc Rivers, our favorite coach, has gone up 3-1 in the playoffs 3 different times in his career, and he has blown it all 3 times. And now they went up 3-0 really quick against Toronto. They stole game 3 in Toronto, and now they allowed Toronto to go to win 2 straight. And one of the big striking things about that is that those 2 games were not that close. Toronto led that in both those games entirely. So, and they just got out coached flat out. So I'm thinking now, is Doc Rivers about to be the first coach to blow a 3-0 lead?
This has never happened
Yes,
in
he
NBA
is,
history.
and
Is
it
that
was
right?
in my group chat. I
I'm
put it in
saying
the group chat.
This has never happened in NBA history.
No,
right?
no, they're 144-0
When a team is up 3-0.
when you're up 3-0. Yeah,
If the one is Doc Rivers, I don't think he'll
best
ever have a
part
job
is-
ever again.
you know what Nick Nurse said
Don't
after
worry,
Game
Shaban. The
3.
Lakers will hire him.
Yeah.
Fuck's
Nick
sake.
Nurse after Game 3 said, "If we win the next game, it's 3-1, and after that, it's possible. We've seen it."
That's true. This series has been fun. Well, actually, I take that back. Has it been fun? The only I would say good, like legit good game in this series was Game 3, right? When Joel Embiid hits that.
That was a good game.
basically because all the other
It
games.
was like a turnaround buzzer beater. 3.
Yeah, because Game 1, 20-point game. Game 2, 15-point game. Obviously, Game 3 was a 3-point game in overtime. Game 4, 8-point game. I guess you could call it pretty good. Game 5 was 16 points or 15 points. So,
Quick question.
yes.
With the way you've seen James Harden play this series,
Bum.
would you say he's worth $50 million a year?
No, but
Us
I
that's
would've
not
told-
here.
I would have
The
told you
answer
that.
is a no.
Yeah, us that's not
Really.
here.
Good, because
only-
that's the number he's going to command this offseason.
You know, it's funny.
Command what? He couldn't command a mid-level at this point.
I mean, he could have commanded mid-level. However, I would Assad's not here to speak for himself, but I would venture to say that Assad likely would not agree that James Harden is worth $50 million over 5 years, or times 5 years, not over 5 years. At this point in time, he does not look good. He does not look good. He's not doing anything spectacular. He cannot create space, and more so now than ever, it does not look like he's looking to finish at the rim anymore. He just goes over there and he flails. There's no intent to even try to finish. Which is very concerning for a player that, yeah, I don't love the guy, but he's a very good basketball player, or he was a very good basketball player. It is really rare that we see a superstar of his caliber fall off as quickly as we've seen. And I say that
What are you talking
because
about? We just saw Russ.
you know what? That's fair.
Too
That is
soon.
fair. That's fair. I'm
Too
hurt.
soon.
I'm hurt, but that's fair.
A Dirk
But
post
James Harden-
championship.
James Harden was at one point last season an MVP candidate, right, with the Brooklyn Nets when he first got there, and
Mhm.
now he's not good. That's the
Yeah.
easiest way for me. He's not very good.
I think I brought this up before, but I was listening to the Low Post podcast with Bobby Marks and Tim Bontemps.
Mhm.
They were talking about James Harden and the potential. This is before he got traded to Philly, and they're openly discussing if James Harden was worth $50 million a year. And I forgot who said it exactly. I think it might have been Bobby Marks who came out and said that I think in 2 to 3 years we're gonna be talking about James Harden like we do John Wall. And
I think
I think that's believable.
I mean, look, I think the general consensus on this James Harden or upcoming contract, if he signs a 5-year, $250 million contract, which is what he's eligible to sign, right? If he signs that, I think that it's understood by Philadelphia or whatever other team will give him that kind of money, that he will not be anything of James Harden level for all 5 of those years in that contract. However, I think the hope is that he is so good in the first 2 years or so of that contract that it's worth it and it's fine because but right now, I don't know, man. Our boy Vala of the not your average weekly or not your weekly sports podcast. I apologize, Vala. I know the name. It's a kind of complex one sometimes. But he's a big James Harden fan, and he specifically said, or he tweeted, that he is hoping and believes with most of, not all of his heart, that James Harden's kind of saving it in the tank. James, game 6 is tomorrow. I would very much recommend that you let out the tank now, because there might not be a round 2 if you don't open the tank now, because honestly, Joel has not looked like Joel the last 2 games due to probably the thumb injury, but also due to very good defense by the Toronto Raptors and constantly doubling and adjusting to the way he plays. Joel needs you. Joel needs you, James Harden. So for whatever reason, if you're listening to this podcast, you should probably turn it on for game 6. Just recommendation. Before we move on to the West, does anybody have anything else to add, or can we move on to the Western Conference?
Nope. I'm good.
Raptors in 7.
I would die. I would
actually die.
Because then when we do this again next week, I'll say the one word is hysterical. Historically hysterical.
That's why I said disastrous.
Yeah,
for
I can't.
Doc.
If it were to happen, I cannot wait to be on NBA Twitter to see just how it goes down. It will be great.
I don't think Doc makes it.
I
don't think
can't
Doc
wait to post these time-stamped group texts of me saying Doc's gonna blow it and still not get any credit from ESPN or NBA.
Fair enough. All right, listener. We're gonna move on to the West.
Post to the Inside the NBA guys with Shaq and Chuck. They gave credit.
No,
I actually didn't know that. So, all right, moving on to the Western Conference. I think we'll start with the least fun series, in my opinion, which is Golden State and Denver. That's been the least fun of the 4 series in the West. I would argue the other 3 series have been generally quite fun to watch. Golden State and Denver, obviously, Golden State is now up 3-1. Listener, like I said, game 5 is tomorrow or
Breaking
Thursday.
news. Steph is starting.
Yeah. Game 5 is tonight, actually. Shit.
That's right now.
Should we even?
It's playing right now.
Yeah, we shouldn't cover this game. Let's just skip it. I mean, we're going to be old news in 5 minutes. Let's skip this one. Listener,
that's fine.
It's not been very boring. We expect Golden State to win. I assume they are by the time you listen. Let's move on. Memphis, Minnesota, however, has actually been quite a fun series. And I still am president of the Karl-Anthony Towns as a fraud club. But he's been good the last couple games, so will give credit where credit is due. But man, Ja Morant.
It's been an up and down series.
Ja Morant.
As the Pat Bev is a past commissioner.
Oh yeah.
I have a Ja Morant stat.
Well, wait. We're gonna do the one word. We're gonna keep up with this one word thing because I actually think it's been fun so far. So your case, what's your one word for this Timberwolves Grizzlies series so far?
Heated.
Cool. I like that one. Shaban?
Series. Like, this is a series.
All right, nah. You don't get to talk about this one.
Shaban, that was piss poor. I will let you try again in a minute. I will say spectacular because Ja Morant has been fucking spectacular. And by the way, Anthony Edwards has
I'll go with exhilarating.
Exhilarating is a good one too. And by the way, Anthony Edwards, not to be second to anyone, has been fucking spectacular too, and almost stole game. What was it, 5? And then Ja Morant just took it right back, which is nuts to me. So Case, you have a stat.
Yeah. So if you remember game 5, with about 4.5 minutes left, Pat Bev looks over at Ja Morant after scoring and does the too small celebration. The last 4 minutes and 25 seconds of the game, Ja Morant scored every single point for the Grizzlies.
Oh my God.
Do you know how many that was, just for fun?
No, I couldn't figure it out. Look, I bring the entertainment. I don't bring the numbers. You know how this goes.
Man.
I thought you did bring the numbers.
All right, you guys talk. I will look.
Fair enough. I think
so here's a.
Well, what? Go ahead. Yeah.
I have a number. Who is Minnesota? Sorry, not Minnesota. Who is Memphis's leading scorer right now?
Desmond Bane.
It's Desmond Bane.
Yeah, come on. We watch the games. We know this.
Desmond Bane has been a revelation. Like he's playing defense. He's hitting like 46% of his threes. This is breakout series right now. And it's kind of just like he just came out of nowhere. And I'm just gonna say right now, it's a travesty that he was never even a finalist for most improved player.
Well, Ja Morant gave him the trophy.
That's true. Ja Morant did give him the trophy.
What if you were I'm interested. If you were Desmond Bane,
it was 15 points.
Shit, that's ridiculous. In 4 minutes?
4 minutes 25 seconds. Yes.
Jesus.
That's
Ja,
ridiculous.
Ja, come on, man.
Ja.
That's not fair. He's like a video game. Yeah, so back to the question. Shaban, if you were Desmond Bain, right, and your boys with Ja having a hell of a series, and he gave you the trophy, would you accept that? Would you want that trophy?
I mean, I think it would be a nice gesture, but I wouldn't want to. I feel like I wouldn't want to take the trophy if
I
it's
agree
just.
with you. I wouldn't keep it. Case, I know
Well,
you would
guess
immediately
what?
deliver back.
He didn't.
Yeah.
There was an Instagram story straight away of him seeing it, and he was literally like, "What this fool do? Give it back to him."
Yeah, of course. I want, respectfully, I would not want that. That's not mine. But yeah, I think the sentiment I'm getting is the way that both of you see this series. Memphis will finish this thing out in 6, 7. What do you think?
I think next game it's over. Yeah.
I think
6.
game 6. That's gonna be it.
Okay. I think we're getting a game 7 in Memphis because that would just be really, really fun. Now, listen, by the time you listen to this, one of us looks like a fool, or maybe all of us look like fools. Who knows? Let's move on. Dallas, Utah. Kays and I are going to talk about the series. Shaban, don't say a fucking. No, I'm kidding. I'm obviously kidding. One word for this series has been Brunson. Brunson, baby. He's been freaking insane. Shaban, what's your one word for this series?
Relief. Because I was really scared for a little bit there.
Kays, you got a one word for the series?
Baguette.
Do you want to expand on that one word, Case?
Well, it's actually absence of baguette because Rudy Gobert has been absent in the entire fucking series, minus the one game winner.
Because he's packing his bags to go to Atlanta. Duh.
Shaban, I will literally kick you off this podcast.
I still would take. I would absolutely
No.
Rudy Gobert if that
Bad
was-
safe.
I think we would love Rudy Gobert.
I think-
Rudy, come to Atlanta.
Look, Trey will do for you what Donovan never does, except for one time. Trey will throw you like 6 lobs a game. It would be, you guys would be very good together. He would treat you better. Donovan don't love you. Yeah, the Utah Jazz have been hella disappointing in this series. I think the majority of us expected Utah to lose in this first round, but I would argue even as we sit here and look at a 3-2 series, it feels like it's been worse than that. It feels like it's been. I mean, they lost 2 games without Luka, right? That's already
I
embarrassing.
genuinely
to
cannot
begin.
tell you how the Jazz won.
No,
2
they-
games.
So they
the
lost.
Jazz won game 4. We watched game 4 together. It was when they had that really Dallas's fourth quarter offense just kind of cratered.
Yeah, but they lost game 2.
Game 4
and
was the
3.
lob.
No,
Game-
they won game 2 and 3. No, Utah won.
Utah
game
won
Sorry,
1,
1 and 3.
lost 2 and 3, won 4, lost 5.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So my point is, Utah lost 2 games when Luka wasn't playing. Correct?
Game 4, Luka was playing.
Am I
Luka
still?
played. Yeah,
Okay.
Utah
Yeah,
played.
he had 30 points.
Oh, but they won that game. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they didn't win game 4.
They lost 2 without Luka.
Who is misremembering this? Yeah, Dallas won game 2 and game 3, and
Yeah,
Luka
they
did not play
lost 2
game 2.
without Luka. You're right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Jazz lost.
We
2
heard
games.
you wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So yes.
Oh, okay.
Mavericks won game 2 and game 3, and Luka did not play those games. He came back in game 4, and they lost that game by 1 point because Donovan did the unthinkable and threw a lob to Rudy Gobert, who's 7 fucking feet tall and can actually do stuff. So anyway, listener, my point is it's been oddly disappointing because they're not losing to a team that was better than them. They are better than the Dallas Mavericks when Luka wasn't playing, and they still lost 2 games. Since then, obviously, these teams are close, and I would still argue that it's close. I mean, it's close. Why shouldn't the Jazz have been better in this series so far? They should have won.
They lost by 25 last game.
They should have won by. They should have won 2 out of the first 3 games at least, based on the fact that Luka isn't there, and it doesn't matter. Their entire
Yeah.
defensive scheme is, hey, Rudy Gobert, clog the paint. Oh, by the way, if you don't clog the paint, we actually don't have any good perimeter defenders to speak of besides maybe Royce O'Neal. So basically, everyone gets open threes, and then Dallas shoots 50% from 3, and that's how they win games.
And even then, Royce O'Neal just resorts to really dirty hard fouls and
Yeah,
just
of course, Shaban totally
blindside tackles.
Shaban's totally unbiased in this
Hey,
conversation.
bro, it's one play. Relax.
No, it's like
it's like 3 or 4.
like Royce has been oddly. I would not describe him as a dirty player. He's been oddly dirty in this series, though. That is, I would say, is probably pretty true.
It's been a scrappy series.
I look forward to Thursday night when the Mavericks will play the Jazz, and then we'll see if this thing has to go a seventh game. I'm sure Shaban's heart rate on his Apple Watch will tell him to calm the hell down, and he'll say "fuck you" and he'll turn it off if he has to. It will be. I hope it's a good basketball game because the last one was very much not a good basketball game from my perspective. Shaban, of course, would love another 30-point blowout in favor of the Mavericks.
I didn't even watch the entire game. I turned that shit off.
I just want to like point out to the fact that Utah is the number one ranked offense in the entire NBA. They score 116 points per 100 possessions. And game 5 in a playoff game when they already like lost they were already like it was 2-2 and they failed to even score 80 points. You don't score 80 points in a playoff game and you're the top ranked offense in the entire NBA. It's just like
Shaban, you love bringing up this stat without remembering the Mavs are a top 5 defense in the league.
But I will say one thing.
Who's better at defense than Dallas? It's Utah.
The Utah Jazz, I will say one thing about them. One thing that we've seen this entire season is there is no fight and there is no heart in this basketball team. And it's been consistent all year long, right? This isn't the beginning. This is how it's been. I mean, look, Memphis is down by 20. They come back and they win the damn game.
Would you say there's no passion? There is no aggression. There is no mindset in this football club.
Exactly. But this basketball club, there is no fight. There is no, they have no heart. And so when they find themselves down by 20 at halftime, they just give up. And that's exactly what they did. So them not scoring 80 points, not ultra surprising because they clocked out before even the half was over. Like they clocked out like mid-second quarter and they never even tried to come back. So no, it's not really that shocking to me because that's exactly what this team has showed us all year. Anyway, let's move off this series. Let's talk about the most surprising series so far, the Phoenix Suns and the New Orleans Pelicans. Listeners, we're talking about it. The Phoenix Suns are up 3-2. Again, your information may be marginally different from ours, considering there's a game Thursday night. There's a game in New Orleans on Thursday night, and who knows? But I will say, this has been fun.
I feel like we all have the same one word to describe this series.
Do you? What's your one word, Shaban?
Jose, baby.
Okay, Kays, what's your word?
Alvarado. And his name is Jordan, you fuck.
Mine is Antoine.
Inside joke, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man. Yes, Chris Paul has been good.
Not good.
He's been good and bad in this series, but the one thing that I've learned is you can actually piss him off. And he actually gets very angry very quickly. Jose Alvarado, along with Herbert Jones, by the way, have been kind of shithousing with Chris Paul. They've been doing to him what he's done for the majority of his career, and it's worked really well. But now it's working against him, and it's been fun, guys. It's been fun. I still don't think Phoenix is gonna lose, but wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be fun?
It would be hilarious.
It would be. It would be.
I would actually die if New Orleans knocked out.
I don't think Shaban. I don't think Shaban would die. I do, however, think Shaban would get fired from his current job.
Oh yeah, because
that I believe with all my heart.
Without
I would rack up so many HR complaints. Like, I want to be the most toxic person in the office.
Yeah, just for funsies, because this is going to age either really bad or really well. Shaban, what you think happens in this series, man? Phoenix 5-6, sorry, 6-7, or New Orleans in 7?
I think the smart person would say Phoenix in 6.
Are you the smart person?
I am
no,
not.
I'm not.
Okay, that's what I was like. You said a smart person would say, and I wouldn't describe you as not smart, but it didn't sound like you said I would say. So what are you gonna say, Shaban? What's your pick, man?
No, I'll say Phoenix in 7. I think New Orleans has something left to show us. I think New Orleans they're gonna take the series back to New Orleans, and they're gonna give Chris Paul the business once again, and then Chris Paul's gonna put him out of their misery in Game 7.
Kays, what do you think about this series, man?
Pelicans in 7.
Okay,
I like it. This is why Kays will say what my heart wants to say. I will stick with Phoenix in 7, but my heart agrees with you, Kays. And what would be even more fun is somehow the Pelicans win game 6, and then Zion just walks out the tunnel game 7.
No.
That's
Game
what I
7,
want.
Zion. And it's like, and just Phoenix's hearts just shatter watching this 480-pound linebacker walk out from the tunnel, clearly overweight, but somehow can do a 360 between the legs dunk anyway.
It's
Doesn't
like
matter.
when Bobby Boucher showed up at halftime at the Bourbon Bowl.
Listener,
Man.
Oh, come on, you know that reference.
I'm sure I do. It's not clocking.
It's the Water Boy.
Oh.
Oh my
Yes.
God, I'm
That's
on
what
a
it
fucking
is.
podcast
Wow.
with idiots.
I was like, why do I know that name? That's why I know that name. Yeah, listener, look, the whole point of this whole situation was it's been a fun playoff so far. Some series have been more fun than others. Some games have been more fun than others. But this second round might be one for the books. The second round that we're probably going to have will be probably some of the most fun basketball we've watched in a very long time. We're looking at Miami and one of Philly and Toronto. We're looking at Milwaukee and Boston. Obviously a good series. We're looking at probably Golden State and then one of Memphis and Minnesota, which that series in itself is going to be a fucking hoot and a holler if Memphis specifically gets out, because Memphis and Golden State is going to be ridiculous.
Dogfight.
Yeah, and then we're expecting Dallas and Phoenix, but even if it's anything other than that, it'll still be fun. The only team that I've not had fun, actually, let's do this real quick since I think we're doing okay on time. What's been the one team you've not enjoyed watching, or one series that you've actually not enjoyed watching in this playoffs here so far? Let's go with. I'll give you guys a second to think about it. I'll talk about me first. I was gonna say Golden State, Denver, but Golden State by themselves have been just so fun to watch that I will go with. I will go with the Boston Brooklyn because I had such high expectations. I thought it would be a fun series, and really, besides game 1, none of the other games were even that close. They weren't really even that fun to watch. So I go Boston Brooklyn, which is so disappointing to have said because this was easily the most exciting coming into it. Shaban, what's your one series that's let you down?
I'm gonna say Atlanta to Miami, and
Fair enough.
and I say this because not because I said Miami in 5 already, but we already knew it was gonna be a quick series. It's just that, man, I really expected Atlanta to just put up more of a fight, at least make it interesting, make it fun. Trey will go off for like 35 points every night. Who cares if we end up losing in the end, right? We're at least good on morale. Now we have the L and we have no morale. We just have a bunch of just this empty, shitty feeling of fuck, we're not there. We suck again.
That's fair.
It felt real like I was rooting for the Cowboys, but it sucked.
Not having a good time. Kays, what's your one series that you didn't enjoy as much as you maybe hoped to?
Chicago, Milwaukee.
That's
There was way too much star power in that series for it not to be fun, and it just ended up sucking.
By the way, listener, I think the majority of what we've said just now is credit to Miami, Milwaukee, and Boston. They just put the smackdown on the other team.
Oh no,
We
they
thought
were
the other team would be better. and they
significantly
weren't.
better. It's just it should have been closer.
I agree with you. I think we've kind of covered everything we'd hoped to cover here today on the podcast, boys. So I will give everyone one chance to amend their finals picks in the meantime, and then we'll call it an episode. I believe last week I had Boston, Golden State, I think is what I said. And I had Golden State winning. I'm going to stick with that for now. It's still fuck the Celtics until the day I die, but they've been really good. And I should probably be realistic about what could possibly happen without Chris Middleton. Who knows how Boston and Milwaukee looked. And Boston's the one team that has 9 people they can throw at Giannis at any given time. So I will stick with Boston and Golden State. I still have Golden State winning. Case, what are you thinking, man?
I'm staying Warriors, Bucks, Warriors in 6.
Cool.
I
Shaban?
haven't changed it up at all.
Fair enough.
I am sticking with Suns and Celtics with Suns in 6.
You don't seem like you buy that.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm still monitoring the Chris Middleton situation because Giannis still looks pretty damn good. He had 33 points tonight. He had 32 points the other night.
Yeah, Giannis is Giannis. He's very good at basketball.
So I'm watching the Chris Middleton situation very closely, but I'm still saying Phoenix in 6 against Boston.
Fair enough. All right, listener. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Hoopologist podcast. I was going to do the thing again. We'll see you right before round 2. I think round 1 should be done by Saturday. So you might catch something from us maybe Sunday or or Sunday night or Monday, maybe from us, listener, keep an eye out. Your inbox will be full. You got plenty of basketball, plenty of coverage. In the meantime, enjoy basketball. It's been fun first round. Hopefully it'll be even more fun second round. Be safe. Don't be a dickhead. We'll see you next week. See ya.
Peace.
Bye.
We'll be right back.